Welcome everyone to this another amazing session on unleashing your data potential and introductory guide to Power BI. I'm excited to be here with you today. Anytime I get to speak about data, I'm excited. As you can see, I'm pretty much a data geek. I love data, and more so, not just the love of data, but the ability that it gives to us to make quality decisions. All right, and I hope that at the end of this session, that you would not only gain some insight about Power BI as a tool, but on data and how you can leverage data, be it for your non-for-profit or your for-profit business, whatever domain or industry that you are in. All right. So we're going to kick it off because we have a lot of things to get through, and I see that there is a good 34 of us here today. I want to start off by just engaging you in the chat, and if you could indulge me for a moment. If I were to ask the question, what is your big data problem today within your organization? Whether it be a large organization or a small one, what would you say is the one of the major pain points with your data? All right. I'm just going to take a brief moment just to get your feedback inside of the chat. And the reason why I like to start out this way is to just do a quick broad swath as to some of the common problems that you'll see. All right. So Richard here says too much of it, right? Like it's data coming through like a fire hose, right? It's pretty crazy. Too many resources. Translating data between platforms. David, that's a really good one, right? Multiple platforms. Maybe the data is not even curated properly, right? That sort of thing. All right. Data is not being used in a meaningful way. Very good. Processing it, yes, right? Yes, we have the data, but how do we process it? Fragmented, coming from multiple sources, lack of centralization, all right? No data governance, and the list goes on and on and on, all right? So thanks for sharing, everyone. As we can clearly see, right, we're all representation of different domains and industries here. But if I were to sum this up, really, it's speaking towards this. A lot of organizations are data rich, but insight poor, right? There's a lot of data everywhere in our ecosystem, right? But we don't know or necessarily have the capabilities on how to harvest that information. That data can be a valuable resource, an asset to how we make choices, how we make decisions, and how we can compete, all right? So again, being data rich and insight poor is the common issue that we find across multiple organizations, all right? Now, just some quick stats here, all right? Forrester research shows that less than 1% of an organization's data is ever actually analyzed or harnessed, right? So think about what that translates to in terms of missed opportunities, lost sale, just even operational efficiency, right? Less than 1% of organizations surveyed across multiple domains and industries and disciplines. How about this one? From a customer retention perspective, right? You are 23, and this was a study done by McKinsey, and you are 23 times more sort of more productive, and you are probably better poised and situated for customer retention 23 times more by understanding and leveraging the data within your company or within your systems, right? Customer retention is 23%, and that's the survey that was done, I think, back in 2020. But you can imagine how that's shifted and changed over time, right? Now, I show these stats not just because they're there, but it's showing that there is clearly a trend in terms of how organizations and industries are leveraging their data in the modern workspace, all right? I think this slide sort of encapsulates it quite well, right? This is kind of the commonality that I found, especially when I consult with many companies across the world, right? Same graph as last year, but now we add an additional dot. All right, we're not having these conversations to formulate, well, how does this data translate into how I derive or devise my business strategy? How does this help with my marketing campaign? How does this help with my inventory turns, right? And so the goal here is, how do we take the binary ones and zeros that's within our system, and how do we translate that into something more tangible that we can use to derive insight, all right? And this is where Power BI as a tool comes in. But before we go into that, we want to look at what Microsoft has developed, something called the digital feedback loop. All right, and the goal here is to think of it as every industry undergoes fundamental transformation. And essentially in the future, which is present, all companies in some extent will have data and will be digital in some means, all right? So this is not only building products, but services and capturing new businesses and opportunities, and engaging their customers with different ways in which the business needs evolve, all right? So understanding your data allows you to disrupt and to be innovative, and we've seen this across the board with a lot of these startups that's coming into play of late, all right? Organizations must take on a strategy that connects their customers, their employees, their products, and their operations effectively, most effectively as possible, streamlining their businesses so that, number one, customers have the ideal experience, employees are empowered to do their best, and operations can effectively and efficiently run the business. And all that really boils down to is what we call a digital feedback loop with data surrounded in the middle. So if we take a look at it, the goal is that we look into our internal and our external data systems. How does that impact and optimize our operations? How does it transform our product if you're a product-based organization? How are employees empowered to drive and to make decisions with tools and capabilities? And ultimately, how are we engaging our customers? And all of this is a part of that digital feedback loop of what we call business intelligence, being able to connect the dots with our data, whether it be internal or external data. The digital feedback loop speaks towards the need for a digital transformation on how we see, manage, engage, and interact with the data within our systems. So now that is just all some preamble, essentially, right? What does this have to do with Power BI? After all, that's what we're here to do. But I think it's important that you understand contextually where Power BI fits within that framework. Now, Power BI is a collection of software and service apps and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated data sources into a coherent and a visually immersive, interactive insight report or dashboard, all right? It's thinking about this as a holistic view on how we approach our data within our systems. So it's all data. It's for everyone, right? I know there's a lot of trepidation around Power BI as a system. You know, a lot of people that I train and that we work with say, well, I'm not a data person, but the thing is that you are. We're engaging with data every day. It's how we think about it, how we kind of understand it. So it's for everyone. So whether you're an HR professional, whether you're into healthcare, whether you're in manufacturing or government or non-for-profit, there is a report and there are structures that are created and can be created within Power BI to facilitate your ability to make quality decisions. And it is for every decision, right? So again, it doesn't matter what industry you are in, the deliverables can be viewed as a variety of platforms, all right? There are different ways to share and to bring together the results from these reports or dashboards that you create within the platform. Okay, so at a high level, that's what Power BI does. And a part of its magic is its ability to connect data. By the way, there's a lot of players out there in the game, right? And the Gartner report, which is a report, authoritative report that's released every year to show the top performers in various sectors. And within the data analytics and BI space for 15 years straight, Microsoft has been the leader in terms of delivering the best platform for business intelligence, all right? There's a few of other out there, but the benefit with Microsoft, as you will see, is a lot of the native integration and what can be done. A lot of organizations are running on the Microsoft stack, and so there's some natural synergies there, of course, as you can imagine. Now let's take a look at some report examples here. So you can see that within Power BI, again, it's industry and domain agnostic. Really, if you have data somewhere out there in the ether, you can fetch that data and you can derive visually immersive reports. So here's an example. If you're in the human resource sort of domain, you can create reports and dashboards that can track new hire, attrition rates, and so on, employee satisfaction. Again, no matter if you're using Excel spreadsheets, right? If you track all of that in an Excel spreadsheet, or you are using some sort of HR MS system, you're able to harvest that data to derive and to create, again, these insightful reports that will help to make decisions in terms of your HR analytics. If you're in the finance realm, of course, finance, there's a lot that you can do with Power BI if you're coming from finance. And what I found in working with our finance friends is that there's a lot of transition from the traditional Excel. But I want to also preface by saying that it's not an either or, it's a both and. There are situations where Excel is still king, right, in terms of certain analysis, but there's no need to kind of have a differentiation. Essentially, they can work together, and it's designed to do such. So here you can see we can track revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit, EBITDA, net profit, and we can trend that across various graphs as well. There's also navigation capabilities. So what Power BI does really well is to layer reports where if you have a lot of data that you want to present, there are intuitive ways in which you can do that, as you will see as we dive into our demo. A couple more examples here. As an example for healthcare, again, if you're in the healthcare sector, lots that you can do, very similar, no matter where your data resides, as long as you have access to it. If it's proprietary and protected data, there are security protocols built right within the application as well. So, for example, if there needs to be, sort of security in terms of how that data is exposed, all of that is built within the capability of the Power BI experience. And lastly, here in the aviation, we've done a few aviation reports since of late, which is where we kind of marry up not only airport data, but a lot of public data as well. So again, we're not limited because Power BI as a actual platform can connect to over 180 plus data sources and growing, right? It's every month there's an update to the application, and you do have the ability to take advantage of some of the new capabilities that are within those releases. And really lastly here, I just want to highlight the capability with AI, right? Microsoft being at the cutting edge of AI with Copilot, which is their native AI application or platform. Power BI does also integrate quite well with Power BI, giving you as the end user the capability to essentially derive and to create reports by sort of natural language prompting, right? So think of if you want to derive a report that's a part of your data model, you can just simply prompt a few things into Copilot and it will, give you an output of a report, and you can refine that report. So even if you are a novice to building reports, again, I know there's a lot of sort of intimidation there, but with these tools, it does help in terms of onboarding a lot of new staff or clients on how they can use Power BI. All right, so just a quick highlight on some of the benefits. Right, automation, we can automate a lot of our manual processes, real-time dashboards and interactive reports. We're going to go into a demo momentarily here so we can see a lot of this in action, and also deep integration with the Microsoft ecosystem. So whether it be through SharePoint or Microsoft Teams or even in PowerPoint, there's natural integration there with it being a part of that software family. Now, in terms of the workflow, what you can expect with Power BI is it all starts with the desktop. So we will essentially, the Power BI Desktop is a free application, and if you want to share this report across your organization or with your clients, it will require you to procure or to purchase licensing from Microsoft. But it all starts with getting the desktop application and then fetching the data from over 150 connectors. So if you have data in a SQL Server or Oracle or even Google Analytics, you are able to harvest that information. It's a natural bridge between your data in the outside world or within your organization into Power BI. So the desktop acts as your workspace. Think of it as your workbench where you create your data models, where you also build your visuals. And once you've basically curated the data and built your report, you then publish the report to the Power BI web service, which is this is where the license is required for sharing and disseminating those reports across multiple teams or different sort of areas within the organization. All right. So again, you're getting your data, you're modeling and creating it in the desktop, and then you are sharing that data through the web portal vis-a-vis the published web service brought to you by Microsoft from the licensing. Now, speaking of licensing, there are sort of three tiers of licensing for Power BI. There's what's called the Power BI Pro user. I often get this question from a lot of folks, and so we've included this slide to just give some information on how licensing works. So essentially, if you are a sole user, a single user, you can use the Power BI desktop. As I mentioned, it is a free application, but if you do need to share this across, to another organization or with your teams, it will require that each user that will be consuming the report have at least a minimum of a Power BI Pro user license, which I think is around $14 or so, depending on what region you are in. So I'm talking 14 Canadian dollars, that is. All right. There's the premium user, which gives you a bit more capabilities. Again, this is all available on the Microsoft website, so you can check it out there. But I would say for the minimum, the Pro license is what you will need if you would like to share the report and gain a lot of those capabilities that comes within service. And then the last type of license is what we call the Microsoft Fabric license. So this is more the capacity bulk licensing for larger organizations who want not a per user licensing, but more of a sort of economies of scale bulk licensing, or that can be secured from Microsoft as well. All right, so these are the three forms of licensing that you will probably see. But again, the Power BI Pro, around $14 a month per user. So you can check out the Microsoft.com Power BI website to get more information on that. Okay, so that's enough of the theoretical stuff, and we just want to set the groundwork in terms of what Power BI is, what it can do, and its benefits for you. All right, now we're going to dive into our demo, and the goal is we're going to be sort of putting on our hat as a fictitious Power BI developer. The data that we're going to be working with is a sort of open source data for a retail store, so we're dealing with some sales POS data as well. And our goal would be to look at a few sales trends, look at some top performing regions, and just kind of get our finger on the pulse in terms of how our business is performing overall, right? So some very simple KPIs just to showcase the capability of Power BI and how quickly and easily we can translate data into insight, all right? So at the end of the day, we should have a report that looks something that looks like this. To give us some quick insights. All right, so let's dive right into it here. Now, before we go, I just want to showcase to you really quickly this. I'm just noticing here that my sound, Don, I'm not sure. I just saw that my sound is breaking up. I missed that. Is everyone hearing me loud and clear? Just give me a thumbs up.
I think that was about 10 minutes ago, but I think it's resolved since then. Seems fine to me, though.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, perfect. Okay, so here's our data set that we're going to be working with. This is just a flat Excel file, but as I mentioned, you can connect to over 100 and I think around 80 plus sources. But we're going to be using Excel as our demo here, as it's still the most popular way, believe it or not, that the modern workspace stores data. Okay, so what we'll do here is this is some POS data from our fictitious retailer. It gives us some information in regards to the order number, so some order information. We have some customer data as well. We also have information on the product. If we scroll to the right, you'll see as well that we have some aggregated values such as the sales, profits, and quantity, etc. All right, so our goal is to turn this into something that we can use to derive and create some insights. All right. So I'm going to fire up my Power BI desktop file here, and let me see if I can turn on my, if I can turn this on here. All right, so when you launch the Power BI desktop at first, let's see if this works. Yeah, there we go. So when you launch the Power BI desktop, you're met with the startup screen here. And just to go through, there's a few resources that you can use, which is quite handy. So there's a getting started guide, which does have a few sort of how-to quick tips. There's also some demo data as well, so you can play around with Power BI and build some reports there. And then you have your previously open Power BI reports once you start to use the application. All right. So for now, we're going to start off by just going to the blank reports. And here we're presented with the main interface, which is the Power BI desktop interface. Now, one call out with Power BI is that it is the desktop application is only available for PC. So if you're running on a Mac, you're not going to be able to access the Power BI desktop as it's only available for PC. However, you are able to do some of the builds within the cloud. It's all web-based, and we'll take a look at that. So if you are a Mac user, unfortunately, majority of the build will have to be done inside of the online service. Okay, so just a quick call out on that. All right, so let's take a look at the interface. We have to our right our main panels here, which give us our three main panels, which is our filter. So you can apply filters, various types of filters to your data once we get data into the system. We have our visualization panel here, which is where all of our major visuals are housed. So again, your bar charts, your area charts, pie charts, and so on and so forth. If you are working with geospatial data and information, you can also leverage maps as well. So there are some native maps, which is rather handy if you want to visually showcase your data in terms of maps. That's available as well. All right. So needless to say, there's a ton of different visuals. There's also an app store, if you will. So there are third-party apps that, again, barring that your organization does allow for you to leverage those. So if there's a specific visual you're looking for that's not here, you can log in to the app and you can download some of those third-party apps as well, or visuals. All right. To the right, left-hand side, we have our sort of main area where you're able to our report view, the four main views. The report view, which is the default view that we're on, the blank canvas. The other view is our table view. So once we get the data into the system, we can view that data in a table, very similar to Excel. And then there's the model view, which is for anyone that has any database background or experience, you can create relational modeling, but we're not going to be focusing on our demo for that. But the capability is there so that you can extend your report. Basically, think of it as creating a holistic view. So maybe you have data coming from your supply chain or from your manufacturing floor. You can marry them up together to create basically a holistic data story with your data visualization. All right, so let's get some data into the application first and foremost. So I'm going to head over here and I'm going to click on Excel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate here. Should do probably a better job at getting this up and running beforehand. So I'm going to navigate to my my data set here, and I'm going to click open, and this will now connect to that data source. One thing you need to keep in mind is that you can also connect to sources such as SharePoint. So if this is a shared document or a web or a shared document or Excel worksheet within SharePoint, you can connect directly to SharePoint as a connector, but I'm just connecting to this flat file. So here's my order tables here. I can preview it here to the right of the screen to make sure I'm bringing in the right content. And I'm simply going to just load this into the application. All right. So once I've connected to my spreadsheet, you can see here to the right of the application, I have all of the fields within that table. So now I have access to all the fields, and I can start quickly building reports because all the fields are listed here for me to use. What's great about Power BI is that it does scan through your data as it's parsing it, as it's importing it into the application. So you may notice these symbols such as a calendar or this delta symbol here, which indicates that it's categorizing all of our fields. So a date field will be categorized as a date field. And what that allows you to do is you can actually expand and you get a date hierarchy. So you can analyze based on the year, quarter, month, day, etc. Okay. All right, so let's get some visuals onto our canvas here. So I'm going to start off by just using a card visual, which is this guy right here, and just select it. It's going to drop right onto the canvas, and I can drag and drop and move it around wherever I need. Here, I can resize it with the anchors at the side, just like you would an image in other Microsoft applications. So here, I'm going to just drag that over here. I am going to turn my grid lines on just so that I can get a nice sort of tiled layout, as it does help in terms of getting my visuals to align. Okay, so here's our first visual. Now, to get some information there, we need to input a field value into this card. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and look for my sales amount here. So I'm going to simply just drag and drop my sales amount into the field. And now you'll see that it will basically generate my single card value here. What's great about this is I can add multiple cards if I want, or single cards. There's a lot of different visual options, but for this, I want my highlight number for my sales to be right as the users open. It's kind of the first thing that they see here. I can also change this here. The title, there's a lot of formatting options, but I'm going to just go into the field section and change this here to total sales. And here you can see that it changes that here. And I can also format this, right? One thing you'll find with Power BI is formatting. There's a lot of capabilities in terms of how you can format your visuals, its look and feel. But we'll come back to that in a second here. I'm going to simply just do a simple format by going and putting an outline, go to the effects. All right. So I'm just going to put a border on there, right? All right, let's go ahead and let's add another visual really quickly. So maybe I'll make this one a little bit bigger. All right, I'm going to fetch another visual. I want to see some trend over time. All right, so for this, I'm going to fetch my line chart here. And let's just bring that over here. Make this a little bit bigger, like so. Right. So I'm going to just fire up a line chart. Now, every visual within Power BI has different inputs. So my card only has a single value, whereas my line chart here has multiple inputs. So I have an x-axis input right here, a y-axis, and then a secondary axis if I need, right? So I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to go to my order date, and I want to analyze this by the month. So I'm going to just drop the month in there. And for the y-axis, I actually want to also analyze the sales over time. So now I have my sales over time, January all the way to December. What I can do, because it might be multi-year, I do have the option to drop information into the legend right here. So why don't we do that? I'm going to fetch inside of the legend my year, and now you can see here I have a kind of a multi-year over year view of my sales performance, right? And what's great is the interactivity between visuals. So if I click on a specific area, let's say I want to see, what's going on in November, I click there, and it's very responsive. You see that the card to the left is also changing. All right. And like before, there's a lot of formatting capabilities that you can do. Another thing that I really like with Power BI is its ability to have pre-built themes. I'm really important factor to keep in mind is accessibility when building a report. So if I go to my themes here, I do have a few options in terms of accessible theme colors that can be used. So maybe I'm not the greatest in terms of color combinations, right? I wasn't gifted with that. But here, Microsoft has procured some color combinations, but most importantly, ones that are accessible, right? So for folks that have any visual impairment, we're ensuring that we're using high contrast and proper color combination. So I'm going to go here and just change that here, and boom, right there. Now I have a accessible theme. All right. Again, there's a lot that I can do here. I can format. I can add shaded area. I can add data labels. I can add markers and that sort of thing. So I can turn markers on as well. Right. All right. Let's keep forging ahead here. So we have two visuals. Let's see if we can get a few more on here. For this next one here, let's go with a donut chart. And maybe I want to look at segmentation, right, for my sales, right? So if I were to look maybe how are sales broken down based on the different segmentation or product segments that we have. So I'm going to fetch my segment here under the legend, or I can even put it in the detail. And then in the values, again, I'm going to just base it off of my sales. So where's my sales at here? Right here. Drop it into values. And now you can see I have a breakdown. Now this chart doesn't really look that good because it's a little bit squished. So I'm going to format this just a little bit here. I'm going to get rid of the legend. And I'm going to change some of the labeling here. So I'm going to change, I want to show the category and the percent of total breakdown, or not that one, category and percent of total. So that looks a little bit better. And then I can also change the actual values in terms of increasing the size, changing the font, again, all the capabilities there. And again, I can click on a certain, you can see that it's completely responsive. So if I wanted to see my home office segment, now I'm seeing my home office in context over the last 3 years, and I get my total sales, right? So very intuitive and interactive. All right, let's see if we can grab two more. I'm going to fetch here my map visual. Now, I do have some geographical information here. So we do have country. So let's see if we can render some information here for our sales by country. So we can kind of get a breakdown there. So for this one here, I'm using the map visual. There's a few different mapping visuals that are available within Power BI. So if you are using coordinates, or if you have latitude, longitude, or even addresses or postal code, you're able to drop it into the map. All right. If you are using more advanced geospatial or systems such as ArcGIS, that is compatible with Power BI as well. So there's an ArcGIS connector. So if you are wanting to use that, you are able to do that within Power BI. A few settings you have to tweak, but you can get it to go. All right, so let's get our map fired up here. So I want to look. Let's make sure I get this out of the way. I want to look at my country in location and maybe my state. So I can create a hierarchical structure and then my city. All right. All right, I'm not going to upgrade right now. So here I have my map, and now I need to add some actual context here to it. So once again, let's get our sales, and I'm going to place it in the bubble size. And now what I can do is, because I've created a hierarchy between my country, state, and city, I can navigate that hierarchy by drilling down. So now you can see I can go down into the state level. I can go one more down into the city level, etc. Right? So a really great way to surface your insights. So I'm going to just surface here all of the states and cities. If I go to my format here, I can turn on some controls for my users. So I'm going to go to controls and turn on my zoom. All right. And this will allow me to kind of zoom in and to see. If I hover over the actual bubbles here, you can see that I can get the values. All right, now I probably want to format that value to $1, so it makes a dollar. Looks a bit better here. So by hovering over it, you can see now I get some information. Maybe I want to get rid of the decimal places here. So 0 decimal place in my formatter. Now when I hover over it, it'll tell me the sales for that respective state or city, right? You can drill up and down. And just like any other visual, you can format as well. So there's different settings. If I wanted to do more dark, I can do that. It doesn't really look that good. I tend to use the grayscale, all right? And what's great as well is within the context of maps or most visuals, you can do what's called conditional formatting. So if you wanted to do more of a heat map situation, I'm going to just do this real quick to demonstrate this. I'm going to go to my conditional formatting for these bubbles, and I'm going to just change this to a gradient, right? So maybe my high values here, and then my lower values, and I can add a middle color or something like that. Maybe I'll do something like that, right? So now creating a bit of a range here, I click OK, and now I get a bit of a heat map. So it kind of shows me where my high values are, right? So I can kind of get a visual indication that way as well. All right, so very neat. Okay, now what I'll do here is I'm going to add one more visual to complete this report. To kind of round it out, we're going to just add, where's our regions here? Going to add a stack chart, take a look at our regions. And again, we're going to just base everything based on our sales, right? So now I have my sales here. I can change the labeling if I want as well. So if I go in, instead of having sum of sales by region, I can go in, change the title. So, there's a lot of capability in terms of formatting, as I mentioned before. It's pretty much endless, okay? So you can change the title if you want here. And then I could add in, let's add in some labels here. I'm going to add the data labels to my chart. And there you have it, okay? So looking pretty good. And what's great is that this is just one table. If I had, let's say, an inventory table, I can actually import that inventory table. I can create a more holistic data model, and that will give me the capability to interact with different types of data, all right? So we're not just limited to one table or one report. We can have a more holistic view in how we approach our data analysis, okay? So here at a quick glance, we can see our top performing regions. We have a bit of a heat map in terms of where our high sale regions are. We have segment between our three sales type of segment, whether it's consumer, home office, or corporate. Then we have a trend over time, and then we have our static overall sales numbers. So in one clean view, we are able to basically take this Excel spreadsheet, right, which is a bunch of rows and columns, and we are able to translate that into something where we can quickly gain insights. And this is all interactive. It's all visually immersive. So if I click on my corporate, you can see that it will contextually change the visuals around the rest of the report, all right? And that's on every single visual. So if I wanted to go and say, how's the West or maybe the East region, if I click on the East here, now you can see that the report contextually changes. So I get all of my Eastern states or provinces here, and then we have the rest of the report that is now contextualized or filtered based on my selection here. All right. Very good. So let's finish this up. Let's insert here some branding. So I'm going to just pop in a logo here. So I'm going to just add some brand identity to my report. And I'm also going to add here sales summary, just give it a title. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that it's more visible. Okay, and I'm going to pop that right here. What I can also do is I can also add a slicer. So if I want my clients to be able to filter by the year, right now it's showing us all years. Maybe I want to give them more capability. So I can add a slicer here. Slicers are a great way to give your users control over what they are seeing. So I'm going to just add a slicer, let's say for the year. So where's my year? I'm going to do it by the order date. I'm going to fetch the year here. Okay. And I'm going to change this to a drop down. So you can change how that's represented. So I have it as a drop down here. And if I wanted to do this, I can add multiple slicers. So I think we have the sales rep. So if we wanted to give the sales reps the ability to filter this entire report to see their performance, I'm just going to grab the reps here. And now you can see I have my reps. Let's also change this to a drop down. And right away, you can see now I can basically have the reps go in, so I can create another page which is specific for the reps. It gives them the ability to filter this report to see how they're performing. Again, just really immersive and quite intuitive, right? And we can see all together, right? So that's a pretty straightforward build in terms of how we take a flat table, but this again will apply to any data that's within your system. So whether it's in a database or whether it's an API, wherever it's coming from, you're able to get that information into Power BI and create a very simple report like this. Now, I don't want to underestimate that this can also be very complex as you begin to merge different data sources. But again, at the very base, you can see how just with one spreadsheet, I was able to create this within like 15 minutes or so. All right, so you can do it too. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to save this report and then publish, which is our last step. So I'm going to save this here. I'm going to pop it inside of my, let's say here, sales summary demo. Let's put demo here. Okay, and once I've saved it, it's time to now publish our report. So again, the workflow here, folks, is that you're creating it within the desktop, and then you will publish it to the service. So I'm going to go to the Home tab here, and I'm going to click on Publish. And when you publish, you are also able to publish it to an existing workspace. So maybe there's a collection of reports within your organization. You can publish it to a centralized location. So perhaps a workspace for, let's say, finance, another one for HR. You can segment your reporting workspaces in that manner. I'm going to just publish it to my workspace, which is my personal workspace. And this will publish the report and my data upstream into the cloud service. This is the Power BI service online. So once I've successfully published, it'll give me a hyperlink. I can click on that hyperlink, and this will take me directly into my report online. Okay, so this is what the report would look like online. So once I'm satisfied and I've published it, this will be now available in the online platform. And again, this is where you will need the Power BI license if you want to further share this throughout the various many sort of areas where you can share a report with Power BI. Once you are in the service, the quickest and easiest way to share a report is by simply going to the top where the share button is. Click on that share, enter the name of the recipients. Okay, so if these are individuals within your organization, you will be able to search for them just like you would an email, and you can send it over. This will send a link to the recipient. They will then just confirm that they're able to access the report, and it will take them directly into this web portal. Now, they also will need a Power BI Pro license at minimum to engage and to interact with these reports, just as we have here on the screen. All right, so that's the one caveat that I want to underscore, is that anyone that is consuming this report in this web portal will need, at the very minimum, the Power BI Pro license. Okay, so that's the quick and easiest way that you can share. You can also export this report as a PDF, for example. So you can export this as a PDF and you can share it that way as well. That's another common way. You can also there's embedding, so you can embed to your SharePoint site here as well, and so on. There's a lot of ways, as you can see here, how you can share it. You can also have this as a part of your Teams channel, where there's you can foster collaboration that way as well. Now, one really cool thing that I like here is being able to embed a report directly in PowerPoint. So let's say that you have a quarterly sales meeting or monthly sales meeting, and you need to basically present a slide deck that has a bunch of collateral on there, but you also want to be able to share some reporting, right? So what you can do is you can actually embed the report. And I tell you, this was magic when this feature was released a few years ago, right? So here's my slide deck, okay? And you can see here, I have my report that's now embedded inside of the slide. All right, I'm going to just get rid of some of these components here because we don't need them. Just so that I can also show you, I can grab this as an object in my slide and I can move it around like an image, right? I can shrink it, I can increase it, but hey, guess what, folks? Look what we can do. We can engage with the report directly inside of PowerPoint. just mind-blowing. I can tell you this saved a lot of offline follow-up emails. There's always that one person in the sales meeting, what are the numbers here? And usually it's, I'll take it offline because I have to do some more analysis. But now you can foster adoption and you can do real-time analysis in those meetings, right? You have access to seeing everything here as you would in the desktop. Okay, and then you can continue on with the rest of your presentation because again, it's just embedded right here in PowerPoint. Okay, so you can also do this with Teams. You can also do this within SharePoint as well if you have a SharePoint site. So again, just many ways in which you can share your reports. And what is great is that as new data is being procured from these systems, there is a sort of natural refresh that happens. So you can either push a refresh. So let's say we get new data next month. We can go back to our desktop. And what we can do is we can refresh this data by going to our home page. Let's say we got some new sales coming in from the POS system. It's already connected. So we just click on the refresh button. I can refresh my semantic model and my data. Once I refresh, I will need to republish the report. Once I republish, everywhere that I have shared this report, so all of my end users, whether it's in SharePoint, whether it's in the embedded Excel slide, or whether it's through the web portal, they will be able to get that refresh and they'll be notified as well. Okay, so again, lots of really neat capabilities right out of the box. And one last thing that we'll do here as we come to the end of our session is another way that we can share our reports and gain adoption. Oftentimes, that's where we get a lot of friction, is that we build great reports, but how do we gain adoption? So here's a great feature that I've used quite a lot that helped is this subscription, the idea of creating a subscription to these reports. So if you're in an organization and you want to gain some adoption of your new sales report or your inventory report, you're able to create what's called a subscription here. So another way in which you can share your report. And what the subscription allows you to do is sort of canned emails or automated emails where you can give it a name. So I'm going to say sales summary. Well, it's all caps, all wonky here. Sales summary. And like we did before with the share button, we can add in all of our users here. All right, we can add as many. And again, this is would be users that are internal to our organization. For external users, there's a different process, which we won't cover today. Depending on the license you have, when you are creating a subscription, essentially think of it as an email blast. You can also attach the PDF of that version of the report that you're sending out as well. So whether it is a PDF or a PowerPoint, now you do need a higher level licensing for that, but the capability is there. So you could also attach a PDF of the report. And here you can schedule essentially when this report should be sent. So if you want this report to go out on a weekly cadence, so I want this to be issued out to all of the recipients Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. You can select the time zone. If I go in to, I guess they changed that here. Microsoft is always changing things, but there was an opportunity to basically write custom messages, but I guess they got rid of it. So essentially, once you've created this subscription, you just click on save, and then this will basically run. All right, it will run based on that schedule that you have derived here. Yeah, this report is not really set up. There's some errors in there, but in a real world, it'll run based on the schedule. The recipients will get an email at the specific interval. You can also put an end date to that. So maybe it's a limited project life cycle where that report will no longer be needed after 6 months. So you can put an end date to it or have it go into perpetuity if needs be. All right, so that's another great way to share the report. More hands-off. Again, it's automated, so this will run on the schedule until you change it, which is just, again, a fantastic way to garner some adoption and get people to collaborate using this amazing tool. All right. So that's it for our demo, team. We're going to just hop back into the slides, but hopefully that has given you a good understanding as to what Power BI can do, where it can benefit your organization or your team. and also how it can transform and drive you and your organization to be more data driven in terms of having a more data driven culture. All right. Like I said, data is the coin of the realm. It doesn't matter what industry you are in, you're using and leveraging data. So why not help it? Why not let it help you to make insightful decisions and to make better quality decisions as well. All right. So just a quick recap on what Power BI can do. Again, hopefully this has brought some insight and has piqued some curiosity in terms of what are some of the next steps for you. Maybe just exploring a data set, downloading the application and playing around and see what you can do. But if you do need some support, we are here to help you as well. All right. So our firm, we do provide Power BI consulting and support as well as training as well, right? So to get you up and running with your reporting, we provide both one-on-one and corporate coaching as well as resource augmentation if needs be.